So be honest with me for a second here. When you think about living to be 100 years old, what exactly pops into your head? Are you just, barely surviving in a nursing home, completely dependent on a cocktail of medications and life support? Or are you actually thriving? Do you have that physical vitality, that sharp muscle tone, and basically that boundless energy of youth as you age? Because let's be real, we don't just want to add years to our life, right? We want to add a vibrant, highly functional, and frankly attractive life to those years.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking the really complex science of longevity and boiling it down. We're distilling 18 scientifically proven tips straight from the source material into one master blueprint. And our goal? It isn't just surviving. It's about looking and feeling absolutely vibrant and physically attractive at 100 years old.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover quantity versus quality of life, secrets of the centenarians, mastering your diet and gut, embracing good physical stress, and finally, sleep, genes, and vitality.
Starting with Section 1, Quantity versus Quality of Life. Right off the bat, we actually have to address a massive flaw in how we typically view the human lifespan.
For decades, we've all been told this story, that modern medicine is the one and only reason our lifespans have doubled since the 1800s. But you know what the data actually shows? The biggest spike in longevity happened because of plumbing and sanitation engineers, cleaning up sewage. So, shout out to the plumbers out there. This was way before antibiotics were even a thing. Look, today's medical model is fantastic at managing disease, basically keeping you alive with medications that suppress symptoms, but that often leaves people with a really low quality of life. What we want to do is pivot to creating health. We're talking about optimizing your biology and building up a massive fitness reserve. By maximizing things like your VO2 max, you maintain the physical attractiveness and the actual physical capability that makes living a long life worth living.
Moving to Section 2, Secrets of the Centenarians. So, who's actually pulling this off? Let's take a look at some global proof.
Take a look at this absolutely staggering number, 95,119. That is the actual number of centenarians, people living over 100 years old in Japan today. It's the highest in the entire world, and it proves, without a doubt, that setting up your environment for longevity actually works.
And this brilliantly illustrates how totally counterintuitive health can be when we actually look at the real-world data. On one hand, you've got Japan. Their longevity habits include eating a lot of unrefined foods, consuming iodine-rich seaweed, eating only until they're about 80% full, getting in over 6,000 steps a day, and heavily relying on fermented soy for vitamin K2. But then, check out Hong Kong, another massive longevity hotspot. Get this, they consume an astonishing 324 pounds of meat per person every single year. That is a ton of pork and beef alongside abundant seafood, lots of walking, and super low smoking rates. So what does this actually tell us? It means dodging highly processed industrial junk, staying super active, and eating nutrient-dense whole foods is the real universal secret here, whether you're eating meat or plants.
That brings us to Section 3, Master Your Diet and Gut. This is the nutritional side of our blueprint, where we figure out how to properly fuel the biological machine. Okay, the absolute worst enemy of a long and attractive life is insulin resistance. This happens when excessive hidden sugars, the stuff hiding in industrial starches like refined breads, pastas, and cereals, basically damage your body's ability to absorb cellular fuel. It absolutely wrecks your metabolism, speeds up the aging process, and is a root cause behind so many chronic diseases. Avoiding these hidden starches is literally step 1. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how you actually test for these targets. Your doctor's probably just going to check your blood sugar or your A1C, right? But here's the kicker. Those numbers can look perfectly normal for 10 to 15 years, while you are secretly developing insulin resistance in the background. You have to demand a fasting insulin test. To catch these aging factors early on and keep your metabolism firing youthfully, you want that number under 7, and ideally, way down under 5.
Think of your cells as having these little energy factories inside them called mitochondria. To keep your overall energy output youthful and vibrant, you have to feed these power plants the right raw materials. Based on the source material, this means high-quality animal meat and amino acids, complete B vitamins, and trace minerals like zinc and copper. And just as importantly, maybe even more importantly, you have to strictly avoid seed oils. We're talking soy, corn, and canola oil. These oils actively disrupt your cellular power plants, so just stay away from them.
But hey, fueling the body isn't just about your cells, it's also about your microbes. To maintain that attractive, vibrant exterior, you absolutely need an ironclad interior. Eating diverse fermented foods, Things like raw sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, raw fermented cheese, and vegetables grown in real healthy soil builds this massive ocean-like microbiome. These microbes are basically your internal defense system. They make anti-stress hormones, build up mucus to prevent leaky gut, and just seriously boost your entire immune system.
Moving right along to Section 4, Embrace Good Physical Stress. Now we're going to look at why living a totally comfortable, perfectly temperature-controlled, sterile life is actually making us age way faster.
The key concept you need to understand here is called hormesis. This is a short, intentional burst of biological stress that literally forces your body to adapt, repair, and grow back stronger. It sounds crazy, but intentionally challenging your body is essentially the ultimate fountain of youth.
Let's move to and see how this builds into some highly actionable daily routines. First up, periodic fasting for about 48 to 72 hours triggers autophagy, which is basically your body's natural way of taking out the trash and clearing out damaged, aging proteins. Second, temperature swings. Hitting the sauna or doing quick cold plunges forces your body to adapt and turns on survival genes. Third, we have hypoxia, like altitude mask training, which forces your body to build brand new capillaries. And fourth, something as simple as taking a brisk walk right after a meal acts like free metformin. It safely lowers your blood sugar with zero side effects. How great is that?
And you know, even the sun provides a totally vital hormetic stress. Safe UV radiation exposure is completely necessary to build up a bulletproof immune system. If you want to encourage longevity, you really shouldn't be hiding inside all day long. You should actually be targeting a vitamin D blood level right around 60 to 80 nanograms per milliliter.
And finally, Section 5, Sleep, Genes, and Vitality. This is the last pillar of our blueprint, where we talk about repairing the body, optimizing your hormones, and quite literally flipping the genetic switch for youthfulness.
Look, a lot of people think their genetics are just fixed from birth. Well, they aren't. Centenarians often show a really high expression of the FOXO3 gene, which is widely known as the longevity gene. But here's the secret. You can actively turn on this exact gene through the habits we literally just talked about: intermittent fasting, high-intensity interval training, drinking green tea, and hitting those heat and cold exposures. Your lifestyle dictates your genetic expression.
But honestly, none of those genetic switches even matter if you aren't recovering properly. Managing your light exposure is absolutely critical to resetting your circadian clock. You need about 20 minutes of actual, real sunlight in your eyes first thing in the morning to wake your whole system up. On the flip side, chronic blue light from staring at screens all night completely destroys the sleep pressure you need to finally push into deep restorative rest.
To guarantee that ultra-restorative delta wave sleep, the kind that literally cleanses brain toxins and repairs your body, you need a strict bedroom routine. First, drop that room temperature down to somewhere between 62 and 68 degrees. Take some magnesium glycinate about an hour before bed to help calm your muscles and drop your core body temp. If you absolutely have to look at screens after dark, put on some blue-blocking glasses. And lastly, cut out all those late afternoon stimulants like caffeine or even chocolate because they actively block your sleep receptors.
So the crucial point is this: looking and feeling genuinely attractive and youthful at an advanced age absolutely requires holding on to your muscle mass. Age-related muscle loss, known as sarcopenia, is practically a fast track to the nursing home. To maintain that attractive physical vitality and keep your independence, you have to fight those dips in testosterone and muscle tone. This means doing consistent resistance training, eating sufficient red meat and animal protein, getting plenty of zinc from things like oysters, and maintaining healthy cholesterol levels. Your body literally needs those raw materials to produce your vital youth hormones.
Wow, we've covered a ton of ground today, from the fermented foods of Japan all the way to the incredible biological power of a cold plunge. So, I want to leave you with this one question. Which good stress, whether it's trying a longer fast, taking a post-meal walk, or finally tackling the sauna, will you introduce into your routine today to start building your long, vibrant, and attractive fitness reserve? The choice is entirely yours. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will see you next time.